goodness, you better get yourself a defibrillator, girl, because it looks like Rolaskatox is trying to come back to life. That's right, Henny. Make sure you strap on in because we have a lot of tea to spill in this episode, darling. Let's do this. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Kiki. My name is Chris Says It. Thank you so much for joining me again this week for the hashtag the Kiki, where we get to talk about everything RuPaul's Drag Race and RuPaul's Drag Race adjacent. So we're talking about episode 6 today of All Stars 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race. Before we get into that, make sure first things first, you hit the subscribe button down there. Come join our little family. So this episode, right? So this episode, a lot of tea went down. We have a lot to cover and we are going to be covering it, darling. I have my pad of notes and we're going to be getting into this, okay? Shit's getting real. Okay, let's go. So the girls have come back into the workroom. I am thrilled that Alyssa and Tatianna are back to compete for a second chance. I think it's great. I think it was the best result as we discussed from last week's episode. So blah, 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 things happen. Mini challenge is butt golf, also known as shameless product placement. Although I have to admit, I was really enjoying Tatianna serving clueless realness. Like, did you notice the Cher, Iggy Azalea, fancy, total package realness? Yeah, fantasy. It was a kind of funny mini challenge, but a little bit random because usually the mini challenges have like a purpose, don't they? So like you have 10 minutes extra if it's a comedy challenge with the comedic expert, or you get 5 minutes of, you know, extra advert time in front of the camera or what have you. There was no real like end result of this. It was kind of just placement, and I understand about product placement and stuff. It's just that in the UK it doesn't really happen. So well, at least not to that obvious extent, because it's kind of not allowed and it's kind of frowned upon. So for us watching an American show like that, it's like woo woo, like obvious product placement time, and I'm just like, you have adverts for a reason. Like, why are there now adverts in there? Anyway, we're digressing. So Alaska wins, obviously, because she can do no wrong. This bitch, all right, here is getting bitchy today. She won $2,000 worth of suits. What? $2,000 for doing putt-putt golf with a swinging ball from your crotch? Girl, really? And like nothing else? Just, I'm so through with this. So anyway, Maxi Challenge. They've got to come up with some merchandise and like create it, sell it, do a commercial, and the top 2 will have their product actually made for DragCon next year, which I think is a cool idea. I think it's a very interesting prize, something they've not kind of really done before, having something actually be made. So then they all start putting it together, and this guy, Marcus Lemonis, comes in. I have no idea who he is, like, at all. But I think I know his brother, Marcus Orangis, and his cousin, Marcus Bananas. You know, they're part of a whole big family of fruit. Anyway, so let's turn the page here, darling. So the girls come up with some stuff. Katya's critiqued for her crisis control. So when we go into the rehearsals, Katya, she's carried on with her idea, which was heavily criticised, but she don't care because she's a strong, independent Russian hooker who don't need no man. Okay? So she's doing that. You don't see much of the actual final stuff in the rehearsals. We see Alaska's fashion tape. Oh my god, right? This looks like fucking cracked out Lady Gaga bathed in talcum powder on the set of Paparazzi. Like, what the hell was that look? It was, oh, no. Can't even deal with that. And then Roxy, oh my god, that wig reveal was awful. Like, awful. It kept happening and happening, like the line, girl. Am I getting the feeling that she oversold it a little bit? Like, I get it. You did the wig reveal in season 5. You did the wig reveal in your burlesque performance in episode 1. Don't overdo it, darling. So, blah, blah, blah. Theme of the runway is pants on the runway. You can tell I'm really getting through this because we have a lot of tea to spill and I don't want this video to be like 2 hours long. So, pants on the runway. let's talk about the outfit. So Roxy's Wigstock Realness, it was actually kind of cool. I give props, like, it was cute, nothing crazy. Like, she just went down Forever 21, picked up a crop top and was like, this will do, it's good. Nothing crazy, but it's fine. Katya, oh my god, right, very 1980s gymnastic executive realness fantasy. Like, you can kind of imagine, like, I can't remember what the actress's name is. I think, was she the one from, was it not Fatal Attraction? I don't know what film it is where she's being interrogated by police officers and she just keeps uncrossing her legs and stuff. Katya reminded me of like her. She had that kind of like 1980s bitch thing going on for her. I kind of liked it, I kind of hated it, which kind of meant that for me it was like a bit avant-garde, but it kind of worked. It was like kind of wrong, but kind of right. So yeah, I thought it was like really cool, like, and the way she sold it was really good, especially like the yellow shoes and the nail polish and the really blonde hair. Worked very well. Alyssa's very elegant, very Dynasty meets Karen Walker. All she needed was like a martini and start calling herself Anastasia Beaverhausen and then we'd be good to go. Detoxes, I really liked this. It was very slick, very artsy. You can see it was very inspired by Thierry Mugler, although kind of reminded me a little bit of like a very much more refined version of Jinx's Alexander McQueen Christmas in July fantasy thing that actually sent Detox home that episode. So, spoiler alert. So that was funny. It's like a candy cane. Alaska, really not convinced about this one. And I actually wrote this. All these notes were written as I was watching it, so this is not me doing things retrospectively and being like, that bitch Alaska, or what have you, because I know everyone's really angry about this episode. This was all my thoughts as it was going live. I didn't know what the ending was. So I'm really not convinced, especially with that hair. If you're going to do afro, go afro, like go Roxy Andrews style afro that she did. Like whatever that was, it was just kind of like too 1970s afro mullet for me than kind of like anything actually interesting to look at. And that outfit, I wasn't really buying it either. I was just like, no, I just didn't like it. Compared to others, I didn't like it. Tatianna's, I don't know who T-Boz is. I've gathered that it's someone from TLC, and I do know who TLC is. You know, don't go Jason Waterfalls. I don't know who Jason Waterfalls is, but get it? Once you hear it, cannot be unheard. But yeah, it's a cool outfit. I think I know the reference, like I vaguely know the members of TLC and I'm like, it kind of reminds me of someone. So I think, I haven't Googled it, I probably should have, that's just me being unprepared. So we go into the commercials, let's talk about this. So Roxy kind of pulled it out actually. It was kind of funny, considering the rehearsals were going so badly, it kind of worked. There was a cohesion to it, and it was cute. Katya's, oh my god, right, I cried. I genuinely cried tears of laughter. It was so funny. She absolutely turned it. She's really let loose her Katya-isms. You know, this kind of like the pressure of existential reality, and you know, that is so Katya. And she kind of was channeling a lot of her stuff that she's brought on that stage, obviously before even started. And it's difficult to kind of like say in general conversation without kind of stopping and going, does anyone else find that? Unless you're not talking about in regular conversation, but I'm starting to think it's getting a bit repetitive. Not the channel, but just saying like, oh, have you seen because I actually really like that episode of the series. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, oh my god, go look at it. Trixie Mattel and Katya like get together and just talk about shit. It's just genius. Anyway, Alyssa, oh my god, this was so funny. This was absolutely hilarious. Especially when she's like, they turn up the speed on her running around. She looked like a cracked out gerbil in like an American flag. I was living, I loved it. The fact that she's like running around trying to pick up phones and being a businesswoman of you DDG, yeah, but I like the idea of her actually making this and calling it tongue pop as Ru recalled, because how genius is that, calling it tongue pop? Get it? Pop and tongue pop. It took me a while to actually get the double entendre in there. But yeah, that was really good. Detoxes, I loved her look in it. I thought the product was, I thought it was a good idea. I think it wasn't executed well. Like, instead of her knocking the lid and being like, I've had it, she should have had like some string and then done it above. So then when the shot is closer to the bin, you don't see her hand in it. So make it into like a proper puppet. I think that would have been better. Alaska's, it was kind of funny, but I don't know, it just felt a little bit too much like she was trying to recreate the perfume commercial that she did, which was very funny, but with a bit of like a 90s twist. But the whole look didn't really work for me. The fact that the body paint wasn't kind of perfect. Like, I know not to expect perfection in terms of aesthetics from Alaska. She's a little bit rough around the edges at times, and that's endearing, but I just don't think it worked in this respect. I also think the product was kind of unoriginal compared to all the others, where you've got like, you know, crisis control, stress relief spray, and you've got a trash talking bin, and a wig reveal DVD. You know, she's like, oh, I've got fashion tape. It's just duct tape. I don't see why that's unique. It was a kind of funny video, kind of, but I was like, nah, middling, darling, middling. And then Tatianna's was very funny. She could have taken it a bit further, I think, for my liking, but I still liked it. I think some of the bitchy comments could have been bitchier. I think it could have been a lot more snappy. I think the intro was a little bit slow, a little bit kind of, you know, 1990s fitness workout, like, hi, I'm Tatianna, and this is Spilling Tea with Tatianna. This wasn't really needed, it wasn't funny. So, Alaska and Katya are the top two. I wrote here, crock of shite. Because let's be really real, Alyssa was better than Alaska in this. Her outfit look was better, her commercial was better, I think. You know, and before we really get into some tea here, I love Alaska, right? I have loved Alaska since season 5. I think she's a phenomenal queen, but we are going to be spilling a lot of tea today and it's not really Alaska's fault. Some of it kind of is, but some of it really, it's just the fact that she's kind of like the magnet for all of this, when in fact I think there's some bigger stuff going on. But yeah, I want to make it very clear, I love all the queens. I don't have any particular beef. I'm not one of those ones that's like, I have a particular favourite and kill all the other ones that I don't like, or all that kind of crap. No, I like them all, okay? So now that that's settled, I like Alaska, now we can talk shit about her. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Alyssa did a better job. Overall, her product was funnier. I think it was a clever idea. I think it was more unique. As I said, I think Alaska's was probably the least original idea out of all of them. She's just literally taken a tape. It was all yellow tape as well. There wasn't any variety in the commercial. It was all yellow. So I just was like, I don't really see why this is a genius product that shows off your brand. Anyway, so Tatianna and Roxy are in the bottom two. I don't know if I agree with it. I kind of feel that Detox's was rickety rough as well. I liked the concept, but I think the execution wasn't good. I don't know if I would, to be honest, I think I would have been happier with like a bottom 3 of Tatianna, Detox and Roxy, which would then again even be more of a throwback to episode 2, because obviously it's the same top 2 and the same bottom 2 as in episode 2. I don't know if Tatianna deserved to be in the bottom 2. I'm not sure. I think really, had it been a bottom 3, I think everyone would have been a lot happier and have like the kind of option with Detox, Roxy and Tatianna. But I think Roxy did the worst. I mean, Tatianna's could have been funnier, but I don't know. I mean, I love Tati, but it could have been a little bit more refined. So then they go to the deliberations, blah, blah, blah. Alaska is asking Detox for some help on who to send home. And the funny thing is as well, earlier in the episode, they were saying, like, they had this Relaskatox moment that was probably like the most Relaskatox moment they're going to get in the whole season, because they're not being a clique anymore. They're not doing Relaskatox. And they've tried to really emphasize that. And then all of a sudden Alaska's asking Detox for help on who to send home. And I'm like, So deliberations happen, they've all talked about it. Roxy's basically said, I'm ready to go home, just send me home, because I've been in the bottom 2 4 times out of 6. Like, I get it, I'm not doing great. Tatianna's like, I'm here to win, like, I've clawed my way back into competition, don't send me home. She wants to be there, Roxy don't. And I think Roxy did get the worst critiques, so by the standards that they've all set for each other, which, by the way, I think you'll find Alaska actually instigated in the first episode, saying we need to get rid of the person that was critiqued the most harshly. You would think that then Roxy would be the one to go home. So they change, well, Katya changes. Her outfit is like amazingly hideous, but the hair is awesome. Like from this bit up, she looks fabulous. From this bit down, it's just like so wrong, but kind of right. Again, she's this master of like the balance between just ugly chic. Oh yeah, I've got here, it's like a fashionable version of Samara, you know, the girl from The Ring, where she like climbs out of the well and starts crawling out of a TV set. It's kind of like Katya's look that's going on right now. Yeah, so they all come out, and as they come out, I'm looking at them all and I'm like, you know what, it just feels like it's very clear who the top three is now. I think, I'm going to say from when they came out, I think the top three will be Alaska, Katya and Detox. Because they've been the strongest. Detox has kind of stayed a little bit in the middle, and I think Alyssa will have trouble sticking around because she's obviously been sent home once already. So I think the other three will probably outshine her. Obviously, we're not including Roxy in this because she's sliding on by the skin of her teeth. I think she'll be going home next episode. So I think it really feels like the top three is Alaska, Katya and Detox. And this is before the lip sync. Then the lip sync happens and Katya looks like she's being exorcised. Like, she is absolutely demonic. And I'm kind of living for it. I think she's really channeling the nature of the song. She's doing all these splits and kicks and flips and blah, blah, blah. And I think it really works. She's been very rock and roll about it. Alaska kind of pulls out the same moves that she's done for all the other ones, like getting up in their face and like licking them or doing something. And I don't really see any kind of change in her lip sync performance over the three that she's done. And then where the episode really starts to go wrong, well, it went wrong when Alaska was put in the top two, but it goes really wrong from here. Alaska wins the lip sync. Really? I love Alaska. But no, she did not win that lip sync. I'm sorry, Katya won that. End of. Her product was funnier, her commercial was funnier, the lip sync was better, the outfit was better, blah, blah, blah. But Alaska somehow wins. So she's now won $30,000 plus some suits, plus this, plus, I mean, how much money she's already won, I don't even know. But it's already more than Tyra won in season 2 for winning the damn thing. But this is ridiculous. I think Katya, I think, did the best. I understand that when the girls are voting off each other, there is an element of strategy. But when it comes to who did the best for the episode, that still falls on Rue's shoulders. And I think she has a duty to be fair. I don't think Alaska won the lip sync. I have seen online, there's a lot of people that would agree with me. So, yeah. And the thing is now, Alaska has won every lip sync that she's been in. She's not been in the bottom yet. And she's won 3 out of 6 challenges. Can she even lose now? Like, the crown is basically hers. Like, Katya is probably her closest competition, and she's been in the top 2 twice, but has still not won. Alaska has 3 wins. She can't be caught, I think. So I think it's going to be really difficult for her to lose unless she happens to slip up next week and Alyssa's in the top and is like, I'm getting rid of you, bitch. Which would be very good TV. But I don't think Alyssa can even lose now. Alaska! I keep getting this wrong. Naughty Chris. I don't think Alaska can even lose now, which takes the fun away from the show because it's like, well, it's a done fucking deal. Like, we all knew that, spoiler alert, season 8, we all knew Bob was going to bloody win because it was so clearly geared, but there was still an element of fun to the series. This series started off very well, but then as the show's progressed, we've kind of noticed that there's been a very heavy bias towards Alaska, which she doesn't need. She's talented enough without it. She don't need to be put on a pedestal, guys, like from the production team and everything. She doesn't need that. She got to the top 3 in season 5 off her own back, whilst being the shadow of Sharon, whilst being niche and being slightly messy and being so funny, and she still got there without even having to lip sync because she's amazing. She doesn't need all these bones being thrown to her because it's just going to make her look bad. So let's talk about this. Well, in fact, you know what? I'm going to finish this bit and then we're going to talk about it. So how am I doing for time? Ooh, I need to hurry up. So Alaska wins. She sends home Tatianna because Roxy lent her a top. Really, Queen? No, I'm not buying it. This whole thing has just, it doesn't seem right. I mean, they all said, it was Alaska that instigated things saying, send off the person that did the worst. Roxy did the worst, I think we can all agree. And they've said all along, Alaska Talks isn't a thing, and yet Roxy is constantly saved by Alaska. And you know what, I just want to see fun TV. That's what it all boils down to. I don't care who wins this competition, right? They are all amazing and they all deserve great respect and all that kind of stuff. But I don't want to see a series where the winner is already predetermined. We had this problem in All Stars 1. We all felt that it was predetermined that Chad was going to win. There was nothing that anyone could do and Chad was always going to win. Whether that was true or not, we don't know. But that's how it feels and that's how it comes across. And I have a problem with that because I just don't think, I feel that there has been a lot of stuff being given to Alaska, like, that she doesn't need. You know, the fact that she got the Betty Davis role in the sequels, she had way more lines than Alyssa did. She's been given a lot of free passes in terms of, well, this is what we want from you and this is what you've presented. You know, we wanted 2-in-1 looks. She gave 1 plus bin bag. Some of the stuff she's done is amazing, don't get me wrong. Like, she's a phenomenal queen, but I think her flaws are being very much overlooked, while in the others, they are critiquing the slightest little thing. Like, remember how Adore was attacked by the judges for her outfit, despite the fact it was a talent competition and she was showcasing her voice. You know, if that same principle, and the same, they came for Alyssa for the same thing, like, oh yeah, blah, 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 you know, because she's somehow infallible. They've still not done the same treatment to Alaska. The thing that made Alaska so lovable was the fact that she was vulnerable. She struggled in season 5 to get her voice heard because she was in the shadow of her boyfriend at the time, Sharon, who had won the previous season. She was trying to carve out a name for herself. She was very much misunderstood. She was vulnerable. That's what we connected with. That's what we liked. That's what made her funny. The fact that she's somehow invincible means that we're struggling to have that connection. I said a few episodes ago, I'm pretty sure, that Alaska seems to be somewhat distant. There is a disconnect this season. She's still funny, but she's not in the same mindset, I think, about doing this. And there has been a huge backlash against her because she sent home Tatianna, which everyone felt was a strategic decision, which, yeah, there's no problem with that, but just be honest about it. And the fact that they think that Alaska Talks is kind of a thing, that the clickers come back, and that doesn't make for fun TV. And I think there's a lot of people that have been very angry about this. And I'm not angry. I'm just a bit like, it doesn't need to be this way. You know, I think you can have more variety in the show. I mean, ultimately, I think it's going to come down to Ru, who wins anyway. So, you know, if you really wanted Alaska to get to the end, then you can find other ways to do it that aren't so bloody obvious. But this whole thing is coming across like it's geared for Alaska to win. And she doesn't need that much help. She is talented enough as it is to let her talents shine through regardless, and she'll probably win regardless of whatever queens you put on that stage against her, because she's one of the best queens to have never won the title. So it's a tricky one. You know, people are backlashing against her for picking Tatianna, for doing the poor excuse that she came up with, the fact that she kind of, you know, won the challenge with what I felt was a bad product. I didn't think the commercial was that good. I'm not coming for Alaska as a person, because obviously she presented what she presented. Everything else was out of her control. The fact that she was put in the top 2, out of her control. The fact she won, out of her control. The only thing was in her control was who she could send home. And it was questionable why she kept Roxy. I just, you know, I don't really care how it pans out. I just want the show to be fair and fun to watch. You know, I don't want to have to go through this rigmarole every week of people being annoyed, not necessarily about the Queen, because it's good to have a bit of drama, but about the production of it and the editing of it and the choices that the team have made. I don't know, I feel like I'm not making myself very clear, because I want to make sure that I'm very clear about there's no tea against Alaska. It's the tea about why this series is kind of going a bit funny very quickly. There's something not quite right. It started off very, very well, And as the time has gone on, we've seen that there's this kind of, I can't really pinpoint it, but there's this disconnect between previous seasons. You know, you don't need to create this villain storyline with Fifi. You don't need to create redemption stories. You don't need to have a sort of a very clear winner, which they've kind of used the same format for the last few years. You don't need to do all that. Just let the cameras roll and let the pieces fall where they may, and the fans will be fine with it. That's the point. Drag is always a little bit rough around the edges, and that's what we like about it. You know, the difference between like season 2 and season 8 or All Stars, that kind of thing, there's a stark difference in the way that it's produced and the way that it's approached. I think that needs to be looked at, because I think a lot of fans are now starting to question the veracity and the realness of it. You know, we fell in love with the real characters, and now we're kind of like going, well, hang on a minute, is this staged? Is this set up? Because we've been told that it's not. And if it's not, okay, but don't make it look so staged. Especially with the Queens now saying so much on social media about what really went down, and the fact that they are so accessible in that way, we're hearing more and more of things like, oh, it didn't happen like that, it happened like this. So yeah, I felt, to encompass it all without trying to, because I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, because obviously I don't know the full ins and outs of what goes on behind the scenes, but I felt let down by the end of this episode. I felt a bit disappointed. I didn't think that Alaska should have been in that position. And it's no tea against Alaska. And obviously there have been plenty of other episodes where, across all seasons, where I disagree with the result, obviously. And that's what makes it interesting. But at the same time, if it keeps happening, and it keeps happening to the same person, you start seeing a pattern, and you start thinking, choices. So I hope that the next episode doesn't continually highlight a kind of gearing towards one person winning. It's not Alaska's fault by any means. I love her, but especially in terms of the other queens there, and in terms of the viewership, I think there's a careful line to tread to make sure that you don't alienate a lot of people by making things look different to how they really are, especially when we're starting to hear things now from the queens and each other about what really may or may not have gone on. I hope I've made some sense there. I don't like sort of going off on a rant without having... I don't like ranting much anyway in the bigger scheme of things, like being uberly critical, but I think sometimes it has to be pointed out, and I hope I've done this diplomatically. So yeah, if any of you have any questions that need clarifying on my stance on this, let me know in the comments below, and I will happily type something out. But yeah, this is more of a, I'm not coming for anyone, it's just that I feel the editing and the production and the whole setup, something's not quite right, and I felt this episode really highlighted some of the things that may have slipped past us in previous episodes. They're now being glaringly obvious as like something may not be right. I'm not saying it is, I'm saying it may not be right. And I think a lot of people are picking up on that. There's a lot of discontent about this episode, not only for the person who went home, but also because of how it was handled and who won and everything. Something wasn't quite right, and people want I know it's a reality show, but I think people want honesty and fairness, and I think that's not too much to ask for. So with that in mind, I now pass it over to you. What did you think about this episode? I know it's highly controversial. Please pop all comments in the comments below, and let's get talking about this. What do you think? Who do you think is going to be top 3? Who do you think Alaska can be beaten? What do you think about Tatianna going home? What do you think about the whole situation? Let me know. So yeah, thank you so much for watching if you've gotten to this point. I hope I've made myself clear, or at least been diplomatic about my thoughts and feelings. And yeah, so if you want to continue the conversation, you can follow me on social media. I have Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Just search for Chris Edgett. You should find me. Also make sure you hit the subscribe button, come join us, drop me a thumbs up for this video. And I think that's everything. So until next time, guys, be good, be safe, keep out of trouble, stay fabulously fierce, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, love you, bye! Mwah. If this was a Star Wars film, it would be called Revenge of the Sith. Or maybe, what about like The Empire Strikes Back rolls?